Hey everybody, it's PennLive's District 3 football bracket breakdown. Of course, this Friday is the first round of the District 3 tournament play. I'm Aaron Carr, joined by my esteemed colleagues Eric Epler, hello Eric, and Brian Linder. Say hello to the folks at home, Brian. Okay, excellent. All right, so guys, we're breaking down each one of the District 3 tournaments, of course, 6 classifications. Now, 1A and 2A, not really tournaments per se, you know, obviously just the title games, but we're going to break it all down. So we're starting off with the Class 6A tournament. And now, guys, you guys can choose which one of you wants to start. What is the best opening round matchup that you see in the 6A tournament?
Well, I'll tell you, for me, it is a battle that I think is probably the most unknown for us, which is the 4-5 game. You always seem to get some interesting 4-5 matchups. This one is Dallastown versus Fairfield. Fairfield, of course, had a great sprint to the finish in 6A at the LL Section 1, and all of a sudden now they're a 4 seed to get to host Dallastown, who's had a really strong season in York County, but I'm interested to see how Dallastown holds up against Mark Immelsbach, the dynamic quarterback for Fairfield. He's been tremendous all season. He's coming off an explosive game in Week 10. So that, for me, is the most interesting. And, of course, they're locked up in the top half of the bracket with the #1 seed, which, of course, we all know is Cumberland Valley.
Hey. Fairfield Knights, winners of 5 of their last 6.
That is correct. Good nugget.
Brian?
I like this Manheim Township Central Dauphin matchup. I mean, Central Dauphin, if they show up and play like they played at times this year, they have a win over Cumberland Valley, #1 seed. Manheim Township's been running through people, though. If Central Dauphin shows up, that could be an interesting and fun game.
And only a 7-point game earlier in the season, too, a win for Manheim Township. So that could be good.
Now I'm with Brian. I was at that regular season game earlier. Blue Streaks get the win over Central Dauphin, a team that's given them plenty of headaches over the last few years.
Yes.
Township broke that hex over Central Dauphin, at least in the regular season, is confirmed. Luke Emge, Harvard bound, 18 passing touchdowns against just 2 interceptions. Okay, Blue Streaks, 9-1, lone loss to Governor Mifflin. They're dangerous.
Grayson Saladay, man.
Grayson Saladay.
But Central Dauphin does have some talent, and they had a few Epler, I think, maybe scratch your head a little bit, and what happened with Central Dauphin there. But they showed, like I said, they beat Cumberland Valley.
Yeah, I think the big thing about Central Dauphin, too, is A, they're not extremely deep this year, so you couldn't do those box and runs and bring guys in during the grueling Commonwealth season. We've seen a lot of teams, particularly Cumberland Valley, even though they're top seed, you get beat up in the Commonwealth Division from week to week. I mean, there's really not that many weeks off. And this year was no exception, of course, with Harrisburg running the table and just running roughshod over everybody. Of course, you don't have to deal with the Cougars now, in the 5A, perceived champs in 5A. So yeah, I agree with you. I think everybody's a little wounded up now. So these matchups that may seem like they're maybe 2 or 3 touchdown games are now suddenly tightening up.
And one thing that Central Dauphin failed to do in the season finale against State College, limit the big play. Colin Russell, Tristan Lyons had big scoring plays in that regular season finale. Of course, Grayson Saladay had the 69-yard touchdown run to beat Central Dauphin during the regular season. Have to limit the big explosive play from the Blue Streaks offense. Okay, guys, who is going to win?
I like the top seed. I think it's not a very tough opening round game. I think CD East is really, really beaten up. So I think Cumberland Valley moves on into that semifinal matchup against the Fairfield Dallastown winner. I think they'll get to the final, and I think they have enough moxie and enough. There's still a mystery around the wing tee. There's not many teams that run it. It's hard to prepare for it. So I think that's a real big feather for Cumberland Valley. So I'm going to take Cumberland Valley, but who comes out of that bottom half of the bracket with Wilson kind of surging is a little bit of mystery to me, but I still like CV.
Okay.
I like CV too. I felt like, obviously, last week with Harrisburg, 56-14, but Harrisburg's been doing that to everybody. And I saw them actually play to 3 weeks prior, and I felt like their defense was really coming to the field every night and playing better and better. Their running game, was on point. The offensive line's been doing a great job, but we talk about Jake Palmer, Cole McCoy, Galen Whitmer is like a little raging bull, man. He's built like a bowling ball, and he just runs it up in there tough. I mean, and honestly, for a quarter and a half against Harrisburg, they were hanging in there. They were kind of keeping it at their pace. Had some turnovers, and you just can't do that against Harrisburg because all of a sudden it went from like 7-0 with a quarter left before half, and it was 35 to 7.5. So I think they were getting better and better. But I would be very interested to see, like I said, Manheim Township has been rolling through people, and if they get past Central Dauphin, I think that could be, they can get there. Nobody's talking about Wilson.
No,
but they still have Iggy down in the bottom of this bracket. But I think that could be a fun matchup if Manheim, could get over here and play Cumberland Valley. Could be really interesting.
The Eagles control the clock with that impressive run game. They've got stars at all three levels of the defense. They're the #1 seed for a reason. Okay, 8-2 on the year. Of course, one of those losses we talked about was against undefeated Harrisburg. So it's. I think they've got all the tools. They're a team that's built for the playoffs. In my opinion, they're going to get through. But all three of us are in agreement that Cumberland Valley is going to win. Do you see a potential stumbling block here? Any sleeper? Or
not until the final. I don't. I really think Cumberland Valley is well equipped to get through the next 2 weeks, fairly unscathed. You know what I mean? Fairly healthy, and I think both of those games could potentially be. I don't want to say in hand because it's not the right term, but I think they could be comfortable in the second half of both of those games.
All right. Now slide on to 5A.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what is your favorite first round matchup that you see?
For me, it's the 7-2 game. Waynesboro, they are the darlings of the tournament. Outright Colonial Division champions. We thought Waynesboro was going to be in a kind of a dogfight with Shippensburg for the Colonial Division title, but this Waynesboro team has done it really with defense, and they've been tremendous. They've got a lot of guys who pin their ears back and are very, very aggressive. Now, you have to run to Red 2 Stadium and face the 2 seed in Manheim Central, who has been tremendous. Undefeated. 10-0. They are ranked inside my top 5 in Class 5A. Of course, they were the district runners-up last year to Harrisburg. That was not much of a game, but I'm interested to see how they attack the Barons. The Barons have passed every test in a very, very difficult Section 2. Evan Simon's been great. His first year as a sophomore quarterback has been terrific. Tyler Flick, their running back, has been great. Their line has just done nothing but get better every single week. So I look for that game to be probably the most intriguing. I think there's still a little mystery around Waynesboro because they're located in Kentucky. You know what I mean? They're just not really familiar. The mid-state's not really familiar with them yet. But congrats to them. This is going to be a good game.
Can they match the scores with the Barons? I think is the question. Okay,
yeah.
What do you see, Brian?
I mean, my favorite game is going to be this Harrisburg-Exeter game because we'll get to see, we know about Micah Parks, Jaquan Anderson Butts, we know these seniors, but we're going to get to see, I think, every player on Harrisburg's roster play in this game, including Dana Purdy and all. I think it's going to be a disaster for anybody that faces Harrisburg in this bracket. So, this will probably be a running clock second half. Dana Scrap Purdy will be in there running. I love that name. Right. Scrap.
That's a good name. Yep.
Lives up to his name when he runs the ball.
Indeed.
But we're going to get to see a lot of kids play there. I just feel bad for Exeter. I know they have some nice players, but this is bad. This is bad deal for them.
Tough draw against top-ranked, undefeated Harrisburg. Now, I love the 3 versus 6 Cocalico Cedar Crest matchup.
Yeah, that should be fun.
But really, the one that I'm interested in the most is 4-5 Governor Mifflin versus William Penn. The Governor Mifflin big wins over Wilson and Manheim Township.
Right.
And I think all of us, like Harrisburg comes in as this overwhelming favorite into the 5A tournament. If Governor Mifflin can beat William Penn, get into that second round, would that be the only chance that Harrisburg would have to stumble, I think, in that second round? That's why I'm so intrigued by that. Like, if Governor Mifflin is the winner, and set up that Harrisburg-Mifflin second round matchup, I think that's, the money game right there.
Anyone in this bracket is going to have to play a perfect football game just to have a shot, I think.
Yeah, I think it's to have a shot. I think it might even be beyond that. I think Harrisburg's got to help them.
I mean, is it Manheim Central? Is it Governor Mifflin? Cook Calico's been. You've liked what they've done all year.
Love the run game. Like I said, I think in terms of entertainment value, Cook Calico, Cedar Crest 3 versus 6 is the best entertaining. But I mean, we're all three of us come in and probably most aside from the coaching staffs and the fans of these 7 other teams in the tournament,
right,
feel like Harrisburg's going to get the win here.
That's but I think at the very least, though, you could get very exciting semifinal matchups, at least on paper.
Without
like
question.
You said.
Oh yeah.
Harrisburg versus Mifflin, and Mifflin, you're right, is really the team we have not talked about in this equation. And you could get a rematch between Cook Calico and Manheim Central in the bottom half of the bracket. That game was a 17-7 game in the first time go around in the regular season. And remember, Manheim Central's a team that's averaging 48 points a game. Cook Calico's averaging 49 points a game.
Yeah.
When they locked up, it was 17-7. That tells you a little something about their defenses. So that could be really exciting. So, yes, Harrisburg's a clear favorite. No question.
Are we getting a championship rematch here, Manheim Central and Harrisburg?
Well, there you go. And you guys were at that game last year. How much of the revenge factor might go into?
Can they stop Ymir Wilkerson? I mean, he had 6 touchdowns in that game last year. 6 touchdown passes.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Do you have to? I mean, if you're weighing out Manheim Central, are they on the same plane as last year? I think last year's team might have been a little bit better. I know this year's Harrisburg is better.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just a tough climb for anybody who matches up with the Cougars.
So could have 2 undefeateds there in the finals. Regardless, a lot of entertainment value here in this 5A bracket.
I agree.
Okay, we're on to Class 4A. Guys, what is your top opening round game that you see?
Well, you know what? 4A is a little interesting, but, Berks Catholic to me is still the clear favorite. I think the gap between them and the 2 seed in Bishop McDevitt has closed.
Without question.
As McDevitt has sort of found their footing a little bit. Now, again, the stretch run for McDevitt, they've sort of manhandled. They've won 5 or 6 in a row, purely on talent, really. And they faced some teams that were, don't get me wrong, but they were beat up. They were beat up. They were not at full strength. So McDevitt really hasn't played their best game yet. So the gap is closed between them and top seeded Berks Catholic. For me, I'm always curious about East Pennsboro. I'm very curious to see if they can kind of get over that lull. I mean, they've got 1 district win, I believe, since 2002. Last year, they ran into the number 1 seed in Berks Catholic and lost by 30 in the opening round. So this year they have Susquehannock, so I think that's a winnable game for them. And when you have a 2,200-yard rusher like Onassis Neely, you got a shot. You really do.
I mean, and Susquehannock going into that game, they know who they've got to stop.
Absolutely, yeah. Everybody knows who's getting the ball.
You've got the true workhorse back of the Mid-Penn Conference, perhaps District 3 as a whole in Onassis Neely. So that should be a great one. 4 versus 5. Brian, what do you see here in this first round?
So I look at the bracket. I mean, East Pennsboro, and one of the things they're going as a 5 seed. They're going to hit the road. But Eric mentioned this on this. They probably have, if not the best, they're probably higher rated prospects, but if not the best high school football player, one of the top 2 or 3 in this bracket in Onassis Neely. So turn around and hand him the ball a lot, and good things tend to happen. So I like that. I like East Pennsboro, but I got to tell you, Bishop McDevitt should be favored. But after the Bishop McDevitt Shippensburg game last year, I can't tell you how many times I've heard about the end of that game. McDevitt folks think that one kind of got stole from them.
Sure, yeah.
And, I talked to Carter Van Syok at Basketball Media Day. He's excited. They know that Bishop McDevitt's going to be coming for him. So Bishop McDevitt, Shippensburg, they've been a little, they've had some games where we thought they were, maybe going to be a little bit better than they were. But there's still some talent there with Adam Hauser and Carter and those guys. So, but they better buckle the chin strap because McDevitt is going to be fired up for this one. It's going to be very interesting after last year, I think.
The Mid-Penn Keystone Division champion Crusaders are playing with an edge that I didn't see. In the playoffs, their offense had to become multi-dimensional. They've
Right.
established the run game, especially primarily with Cooley Davis over the last few weeks.
Yeah.
He had the 200-yard,
366 yards over 2 weeks. Yeah.
200-yard, 4-touchdown effort in the finale there. They wanted to be known as a team that could run the ball as well. Their offensive line was sick of hearing how all they could do is pass, which they do that.
Right. They do that very well.
As well as anybody, perhaps more so than anybody in this bracket. So
They saved their season against Canisius. They were down. They were beaten at the half. I don't know what Wechter or those guys said at the half. They were beaten. And I don't think it would have been the same season if they wouldn't have come out and went on. It was really kind of an incredible run there in the second half. But that team, when they run out on the field, they're like, wow, there's athletes there. Aaron Gathers, Jaquil Adams. I think Jaquil's a little banged up, but
He is.
he's
but Aaron Gathers, Nazir Burnett is going to be one of our top seniors next year in this area. We've got some nice colleges looking at him, so I'm excited to see what they can do.
And what? So who's going to win, boys? Before it,
I'm putting McDevitt and Burks. They're on opposite sides. I'm putting them in the final, and then I'll hold my prediction until then.
I'm going with Burst Catholic. I just think they're good.
They're
I think they're good. They're going to run it out. You're going to get real physical. And while McDevitt has improved there, they've also struggled against teams that wanted to get physical with them. In Cumberland Valley, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
And Cooper Lutz is a great player. And Brandon George and all those kids. So I'm going to go with Burks. It wouldn't shock me if McDevitt, keeps playing like they are. If they win another game or two, that may be one of our most fun district title games.
I think for McDevitt, the fact that they've established the running game so well, the passing game is obviously great. Defense has played well down the stretch here. They prided themselves on that run of 6 district titles in a row.
Yeah, I mean,
so Burks is great. They're undefeated. Got a lot of size, explosiveness with Lutz and these guys that we've talked about. But I mean, it seems like the Crusaders are, like I said, how they've kind of turned the narrative of their season around after the Canisius game and the Harrisburg game, especially. I'm in, man. I'm all in.
I'll tell you what, McDevitt's schedule is definitely was a lot more stringent than Burst Catholic's schedule was, but keep in mind, the Saints' first team defense has allowed about 10 points all year.
Yeah.
So
pretty good.
See what happens.
Pretty good.
So 600 yards. Onassis Neely hit 600 yards though. East Pennsboro.
He may need 600 yards.
3 games
Yeah,
here.
he may need
2.
All right.
He'll have the carries. That's for sure.
Well, let's drop down to the 3A tournament. Just 4 teams in this one now, guys. Really, can anybody slow down Middletown here? I think that's the question.
In this bracket, and hats off to Wyomissing because they're there every year and they play a physical brand, but no team in this bracket is more physical than Middletown. I think they are absolutely clear favorite. I think it's similar to what happened last year. Right now, now the backfield's back. Brady Fox is back. He's healthy. You have Jose Lopez. You have a guy like Terrier Mills making plays at the return game. And on the outside, he's great on defense. For Middletown, too, and it's a lot like the Cougars. We mentioned the star power for Harrisburg. For me, the Cougars are what they are because of those guys who just surface every week. Every week when you watch Harrisburg, somebody new comes to the forefront. Either it's Nerese Glenn, or it's Deontay Payne, or it's Andre White, or it's another D-back. There's 9 of them who could start anywhere else in the state.
Well, it helps when they're blowing teams out. A lot of kids get to play.
Well, yeah, but Middletown's the same way. You don't get to mention a Trey Leach or a Kyle Truesdale or a Jacoby or Cole Senior who came out of nowhere and is one of the most dominating defensive tackles that I've seen all year. So you lock up all those guys and put them on the field. That's bad. That's bad for the opposition. So I think Middletown runs away with this bracket.
Middletown's going to win.
The end.
My favorite nugget about Middletown season. Okay, they allowed 34 points in what looks to be a fluke in that 45-34 win over Trinity. They've allowed 52 combined points in their other 9 games.
Yep.
That defense has been amazing. Okay,
Lock it up.
number 2, or 2-way rather. Okay, so Newport and York Catholic. Guys, who's going to win?
Man, I tell you, it's a rematch of last year. York Catholic controlled this game pretty much from about the mid-second quarter on. It was 51-21 final. That's not going to happen this year. I think Newport is better equipped. I'm not sure they're going to win this game, but, for them, it's all about stopping. Their defensive line at Newport is pretty good. Derek Hitchie and those guys have been really good. So I think they can target Kyle Dormer, Andrew Snellbaker, the two hammerbacks for York Catholic. There's no Jakar Kennard running crazy, and obviously Dan Yokovic last year, their all-state caliber quarterback, was tremendous too. So this game, I believe, comes down to the wire. I'm still going to take York Catholic because I think they're seasoned enough and they've got some big wins. They may be a tad more battle-tested than Newport is, but you know what? It's going to be a dogfight. This is going to be a great game.
York Catholic, lock of the week.
All right.
I think
you got to give me some points.
One thing that the Buffaloes talked about in the preseason: how are they going to, come life after the record-setting quarterback Noah Heimbaugh? Obviously, they're sitting there at 9-1. They're great. This should be a great game. I'm not totally sure who's going to win this. Maybe
I think it's a toss. I really don't think it's a toss-up.
All right. So we got toss-up. York Catholic. Okay, I'll take the Buffaloes. All right. 1A. All right, again, just a two-team tournament here. Steel High versus Fairfield. Guys, man, do we see Steel High stumbling here?
No, I mean, it's just Fairfield's not going to be prepared for what Steel High brings. As long as Steel High keeps their heads on straight. They lost themselves a little bit last week against Middletown because they really wanted that game, and things just snowballed for them. But you know what? I mean, not having Tim Cater in the middle does hurt them. It opens them up for a little bit more rushing success, but over the long haul, I think just the athleticism and the speed of Steel High will take over. They're going to win another district title.
Feed Dupree, Steel High, lock of the week.
All right,
That's
so
two locks.
we got two locks. Okay, I'm taking Steel High too. Like Brian said, Dupree Andrews has been great. He's been one of the breakout stars that we've had here in District 3, and way too much athleticism. So give the Rollers the district championship, and that's our show. This has been the District 3 football bracket breakdown for PennLive. Of course, first round starts this week. The road to Hershey Park Stadium begins on Friday, so follow PennLive.com for all the high school playoff coverage.